Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Intro.
Introduction.
I was too busy bopping to the music. Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerdherder. I promise I haven't forgotten how to do this in 1 week.
I certainly have, apparently.
Did I ever know how to do it to begin with? Who knows? We moonlight as podcast professionals, but
We daylight as idiots.
or is it the I don't know.
I moon in
Anyway.
daylight as an idiot regularly.
So yes, glad to be back. It's only 1 week off, but it feels like an eternity. I don't know how it feels for everybody else to be missing their nerd herds, but we miss you whenever we're not here. And it just lined up perfectly because we were able to put all of our emotional and mental efforts into getting ready for Podathon, which basically meant we slept a whole dang lot because
Dude, 13 hours of podcasts.
then the next day was a ton of awesome stuff from awesome people, most of them, and it was great. We raised over $15,000. Well, I don't know what the final number was
It
because
was
even after we closed down,
16 something.
16. That's incredible.
It
So
was money on money on money.
a precedent has been set. So hopefully next year fans can come together again and raise even more money
Yes.
for Make-A-Wish. It's an awesome cause. I mean, we talk about Star Wars and things we love so much. That's a way to share it. Maybe some of those kids have wishes that are Star Wars related. And even if they don't, whatever it is, it brings a little bit of joy to a very difficult situation, which is why we do what we do.
Yes.
This podcast is a light in the end of a very dark tunnel sometimes, this week included. And so, been looking forward to this. But first, housekeeping before we get too far into the butts first.
It's not that kind of episode, baby.
It could be. We never know. I never set out for a butt episode, but we somehow land there some way or another.
We do have a force loser on the podcast.
We do. And so, but yes, so while a couple episodes ago I mentioned that we consolidated our giving links to our link tree. And so if you followed along long enough, you know about the Amidala Initiative, helping for abortion and female rights.
You switched them.
What? The
Amidala
Initiative
is for trans youth.
Is it?
Yes, what choices are
so many charities.
So many.
Yes, Amidala Initiative supporting Equality Texas families and
Yes.
youth of the LGBTQ plus community
Yes.
who need your support because they live in Texas and where it's a very difficult place to be gay. It's very difficult to just be who you are. And also, What Choice? Yes, supporting abortion rights and other needed medical support and financial support and just any kind of support that you may face when having a bebe, because bebes are expensive and difficult.
Yes. I guarantee if you do not think it affects you, it 100% does, my friend.
Yeah, it gets there somehow. So in any way that helps. So they're in the link tree. That's awesome. There's also 3 new links that are in the link tree, but also are just in the description because it's important.
Number 1, wiki feet.
No. If you can and would like to support any of these or all of these, you'd be an amazing human. Flood relief out in Kentucky.
Yes.
Devastating floods that have hit many folks in a large swath of areas. And so there's a lot of support needed there here in the U.S., but there's also support needed from Hurricane Fiona down in Puerto Rico. We've linked a direct fundraiser.
Yes.
There's a lot of other links out there that you can use if you would prefer.
Do your research
But
first.
this does go directly. It doesn't support the government. And you can read into that what you will, but they have money and resources. But this ensures that every dollar gets directly to people who need it. And then also, friend of the show, Mel from ISP, Imperial Senate Podcast,
Beautiful Mel.
has been facing some hospital bills, some difficulties there. And you know what? Why not? Let's help. So
she is a gorgeous soul who deserves the help.
Yes. So their friend Claire has put that together, and we've got the link down there to help. So anything you can give to any of those is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, give a little kindness. Do what you can. That's what Star Wars has certainly taught us. Not that we're going to be talking about many good lessons today.
No.
So I realized I did a bit. I've been doing a bit as long as we've been doing promos because I'm like, hey, what are we talking about? It's a big old goof. And then I'm like, wait a minute. It's in the thumbnail. It's in the
Yeah.
title. It's everywhere.
But also,
It's not a joke.
do you remember what I told you, the joke that I told you in the car the other day?
No.
That I was like, I want to start the show with this at some point.
Yes.
Yeah. See, what material makes the best lunchbox?
I don't know.
It's Beskar. You know why?
Why.
Because if you want to bring your lunch, you could either bring it in warm or you could bring it in cold.
But if I could remember what button is the zinger,
Hey,
I'd give it to
stop
you.
shaking your head, Michael. It's a funny joke.
So, if that's not enough of a clue, here's another clue as to what we're talking about today.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Proof of termination is also acceptable for a lower fee. Bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
Please don't kill me! I'm worth more alive! You're worth enough dead.
Make it quick, General. We're charging by the minute.
Did you miss me?
Bounty hunters. We don't need that scum.
Yes, sir.
You see, it's a multi-level joke because, like, it's an insulation joke while also being a Mandalorian reference.
Welcome to the show, Brad and Mike. Can you save this madness?
No,
How are you boys doing tonight?
I am good.
you're welcome.
You okay, Brad?
I mean, first you guys hit me with talking about how much kids cost you. And I'm just remembering all the stuff I can't do because I've got a 2-year-old.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Yep.
I was putting together IKEA furniture, and now I'm ready to commit some war crimes against them and their meatballs.
Ready to commit
Oh
Sudoku.
my
The
God.
horse meatballs.
Yeah, so it's been a night.
So, bounty hunting brings us together tonight, fellas. Nothing new to Nerdherder, something we've talked about, whether it be individual characters or the whole profession. But in the new series that we've started doing, just favorites, where we and Roundtable pick our top 3 favorites and go around. We figured it is about time. We've done Sith, we've done Jedi, we've done all of that. Now to the next best thing to holding a lightsaber, having a jetpack, and a cool hat, and a gun. Really, all the cool stuff. Bounty hunters have it all.
It's a complicated profession.
It is a complicated profession.
How many
It
Vanna
is.
Herzog impressions can we fit into one podcast?
How many can you? Because you're the only one that can do the impression.
It's not a very difficult
You-
impression
you-
to do.
You say that, but you're good at accents.
I am good at one accent,
there-
and it's Vanna Herzog.
There's a Michael. I don't know. You might appreciate this too, Brad. I know Michael and me are board game people, well, and of course, Boop.
Yes, of course.
But there's a board game that's like apples to apples, but with accents called Utter Nonsense.
It is
And
so much fun.
I've seen it at Walmart.
If you can do accents, it's super fun because you get a phrase and an accent, and you have to put it together, and the funniest one wins. And so
I'm pretty sure one was German accent, and I just did a Werner Herzog impression.
I'm pretty sure. But for me, it's like I'm sitting there trying to do it, and everything comes out sounding like pseudo-Australian. And it's just like every accent: British, pseudo-Australian, Australian, pseudo-Australian.
I would argue that it's even funnier if you're bad at accents.
if you're unless you're me, and it's just like I suck.
Embrace the cringe, baby boy.
Oh, anyway,
They all end up sounding the same. No matter
Right.
what it is.
Yeah.
right.
There was one that was woman giving birth.
Yep.
That was spectacular.
Oh God.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had our friend put his legs up on the table too.
And just started screaming.
Really got into. You got to get into this stuff.
You do.
It's method acting.
It is.
Exactly.
So, technically, you didn't have a choice. Both of you kind of walked in on this one. I mean, you could have said no,
Wow.
but you know, but you were willing, and so I have to ask, like, bounty hunting overall before we get into our favorites and lists and whatnot. Like, what's your thoughts? What's attractive to you about bounty hunting and bounty hunters? All that good stuff. Bradley, you started.
All right. I mean, in a world where, you know, more than 50% of the viewers want to see just Sith and Jedi fighting, you throw in those random curveballs of just regular guys and who don't have any extra powers or anything. They just have the equipment and the experience to hold their own in those situations. The only real letdown I want to say they ever had was probably Django.
Hot
Bold of
take.
you.
My son.
I'm just saying. I mean, he did good on Camino, but Geonosis, he got a bad rap. I'm going to say that.
He got decapitated.
For sure.
That'll slow anybody down.
I think in one episode he got more screen time and somehow a more triumphant death than Boba did. Well, quote unquote death than Boba did.
Yeah.
I will give him that.
Boba Fett, where?
Right. Oh, I'm so glad he came back from that because that's just what a way to go, man. Oh, but what about you, Michael? What about bounty hunting and bounty hunters is interesting to you? Or not?
I don't know. To me, they are some of the coolest characters in there. Their outfits. You know, I just think they're some of the coolest and most. You know, probably some of my favorite characters in there.
For sure.
Outside of my all-time favorite,
Of course.
she is
The big
Yes.
wife.
Big wife, big silver wife.
But you know you know, when it comes to it's like I love some of these bounty hunters. I mean, just their costumes, the weapons they use. They're fun.
Oh yeah.
They're cool. I mean, that's a good enough answer. Like, you know, I've talked before about how like liking Boba Fett growing up was the generic thing, but also like the less popular thing because everybody was just like, oh, but this Boba Fett. Like, it's just such like, you know, it's like, but you know, Jedi lightsabers, you know, wizards. It's like, I liked the bounty hunters and I liked the cool pilots. You know, I was a Boba Fett and Han Solo kid, man, all the way. It wasn't until I got old and grumpy that I understood the Jedi.
As you should.
Something correlates there.
Trauma.
Now, Boop.
What's my name?
Huh?
What's my name?
Moo? Meg? What do you want to be today?
Boop is fine. thank you.
Boopatron.
Yes, Boopatron.
Meg. Megalingo. Why do you like
Let's
bounty
stick with
hunters?
Boop. How about let's
You're
stick
the
with Boop.
one. Okay.
I was making a joke at your expense.
Bounty hunters, why?
Bounty hunters, why? One could make the argument that bounty hunters were kind of my end to the franchise with the Tales from the Bounty Hunter series.
Very true.
Tales from the Bounty Hunter book. That's a very fantastic anthology. I've talked about it upwards of 1,000 times.
Conveniently available. If I can get the glossy cover to show. There you go.
This is a secret, kids. I can actually read. It's a bit.
Right.
You know.
It's like what's that stupid thing? The Usual Suspects. Where
Yes.
It's like
I walk away and I just open a book.
Right. You walk away and you are the books. Sorry,
Just
that's an old reference for the kids of the show.
Yes, the kids that we have gathered here right now.
Well, I mean, someone listening might be like, "What's the Usual Suspect?" Not everybody like that's a dated reference now. That's sad.
I don't like the fact
Watch
that it's
cinema, guys.
Watch cinema. Watch Benicio
I mean,
del Toro.
Technically, the guy was canceled, but you can still watch his movies.
No, he was straight up canceled though.
Yeah,
For a good reason.
Yeah, R.I.P. Kevin Spacey.
Yes, he died. So bounty hunters, yes.
Yes.
Bounty hunters are just cool. man, like everybody else has said, like they are dope to look at. There's a reason that there's a lingering shot on the executor.
Yeah.
I always say it wrong. On the executor of the bounty hunters, and that we have a poster
however,
of it.
yeah,
right
it's
there.
however you want. Like, you know, I appreciated that a segment on Podathon in the Broaxium interview with Charles Soule, which I believe is getting redistributed if it hasn't already.
Soon.
And you should check it out because Charles Soule is amazing. His brain is brilliant and brainy. And there's some Star Wars in there. But he talks
Somewhere.
about, like, you know, pronounce it however you want. Like, Star
Yeah.
Wars does that all the time. like,
Ada.
like Leia marries Han and can't even pronounce his name consistently.
His name is Han.
Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like,
I mean,
you know,
not
like we like our things, but
Yeah.
and our definitives, but
It's
you know,
Han, it's Leia, it's the executor, it's yeah.
listen, just don't call me Betty, and it's whatever you want. You know.
Yeah, good to know. But yeah, like there's a reason that there is a lingering shot on this group of ragtag bounty hunters that look like they're all going to a different party. Like you
True.
have bandage head man, you've got a drink dispenser, you've got robot and smaller robot essentially, even though he's not a robot. But yeah, like they look interesting, and that is the tale of every single background character of Star Wars.
Yeah.
These people are here to look interesting.
Star
They're here
Star
to
Wars-
make you want to know more about them.
They've always been good at that. Background characters. We did.
Yeah.
Michael, you were here for it. We've done favorite background characters, which is part of the reason my list had to change for this, and I'll get into that in a
Really?
second. But to answer Kev's question here, because you can comment live if you're with
You
the Cool Kids Club.
can.
Just a reminder to those listening to this in the future. But I'd have to say that Brad has the dad butt. So I
It's
think he
true.
wins. I think he wins.
it's nothing but stress fat that kids give you.
and
That's
it's
all it
just
is.
Heck
all,
yeah,
and
man.
it's all natural though. Like Kev, I love you, but you know
You
you're
work
working
too hard.
You're
How
working
about
hard.
say his is manufactured with squats?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Squats and being grabbed
Look
by
at
his wife.
look at this body. No work needed.
Exactly.
No assembly
And it
required.
is the best body I have ever seen in my life.
Anyway, so yeah, so the way this works, it works like it'll go according to
Yeah,
plan. We'll
no.
see. We'll try. So normally the way this works, the way we set out to do this is we've all prepared a list of our top 3, and
Some of us 15 minutes ago.
we will start with Boop and then go around Boop to Michael to Brad to me, and then we'll go down our list. 3, 2, 1, and if for which is likely here because we you know there's a long list of bounty hunters, but there's a short list of fan favorites. But we'll see if there's any crossover. Call it out when it happens. Maybe somebody's number 3 is your number 2, or your number 1 is their number 4. You know, numbers, how they work. We'll talk about it all together. So throw up a flag if yours comes up prematurely, and we'll talk about that business. So yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it now.
Yeah, right
Me?
now, you.
My name?
Yes.
All right. Well, my number 3 is one that I did not know about until, obviously much later when I started sitting down and watching the Clone Wars, which is a fantastic show. It is personally, in my opinion, essential Star Wars watching.
Oh, for sure.
There are plenty of lists out there of essential episodes, but if it doesn't have D Squadron on it, you don't want it. But yeah, watching the Clone Wars, there was one character that really stood out to me, and that was Embo. My number 3 is Embo. Big hat.
Big hat, yes.
Big hat. I'm a big fan. That was literally the first thing I said when I saw that handsome boy. Big hat.
Big hat,
Big
yes.
hat that he uses as a sled.
Big functional hat.
Exactly.
Yes.
He is the Kung
Sled,
Lao.
a shield.
Right?
A lot
Exactly.
that he uses it for.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, he's got a dog.
He
Big
does have a
fan.
It
dog.
is.
It's got a cool name. I think it's like a Nubu or something like that.
I think it's a Nubian.
It comes in my head. It's Anubis, but I know it's not
No,
that
it's not.
straightforward.
But yeah, this is literally my personal favorite Mortal Kombat character, Kung Lao in Star Wars.
For sure.
And that is 100% why I like him. Because
Yeah.
he looks cool. He sounds cool. Because he's voice acted by Dave Filoni.
Hmm.
And he's got a dog.
When he's one of those cool ones where he like speaks a language and they don't like subtitle it or anything. Like
No.
it's context clues. So it's like even more mystery to him.
Exactly. And it's one of those things like every time this character shows up, I just get a hit of like, yes, serotonin. There's my boy.
Yeah.
And like he's not a character that you know a lot about, and you don't necessarily need to know a lot about because he just looks really cool.
Mm.
He's got like the circus tent pants. Love that.
Yeah.
Those
well,
are like genie pants, right?
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
MC Hammer pants.
You
Yeah.
can't touch this.
Well, and kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like, I mean, like, it's fine if the only reason you like something is because it's cool. And
Yeah.
Imbo gets back to the original things that made kids like me fall in love with Boba Fett. I think where it's just like he's just cool. Like he's not going to be an episode lead. He's not going to necessarily get his own spin-off show, but maybe 40 years later. But you know, it's like he's just going to be cool, and kids are going to buy all the toys.
I mean, for
and
Pete's
so,
sake,
yeah.
when we were going through names possible for Boba, when we first got him, Embo came up because that is a great name for a dog.
It is a great name for a dog. I feel like that's how Dave Filoni names his characters.
His dog names.
Dog names.
Excellent name for a dog.
That's why they only live a short period of time too. So,
Wow.
anyway.
Jeez Louise.
That was
Anyway, so Imbo for anybody else?
Didn't
No?
think so.
Going once, going twice. So
Hey, it's still a good pick.
Thank you.
That's a really good one.
absolutely. He almost made mine.
Wow.
He
Yeah.
is in my. It was one of those
Honorable
ones where it's just,
mentions.
yeah, it's like I've got a clump of honorable mentions, and he's in there
Mhm.
for sure. So he
Yeah.
was in the running, but not made the cut.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what about you? Number 3. What's your third favorite?
So, and this probably would actually be a good show. The like what planet, if you could go to a planet, which planet would you want to go to?
Ooh.
And so top 3 planets, whatever. And I would love to go to Kashyyyk.
Oh yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love a Wookiee?
Yeah.
So, of course, you know who my number 3 is.
Yes.
And Black Chrysanthemum
Yeah.
Yes.
is my. Again, when I saw him in the Book of Boba Fett, I just fell in love with it. I mean, again, I like Wookiees. You must have one.
I do.
He has one right here.
Yeah, that's just. I saw it on eBay. I started to get me one of them, and I probably will end up doing that. Like I need another one, but oh well.
That's just so cool.
Yeah.
too. There he is.
Yeah.
Santo himself.
So, and what I love about this is it's the first comic cover where he shows up too. Is like, because that was the thing that wowed me. Like, not just seeing him, but like, holy cow, this is a comic character come to life. Like,
Yeah.
It's just such a hard thing to explain. You know, when you go from page to screen like that, that's just so cool. Because I mean, as a Star Wars, I don't hold my breath and wait for every cool comic character to come to the show or to a film eventually. Like, comics are over here, movies are over here. That's how my mind has always worked. But you know, they've really crossed over now with Black Chrysanthemum being one of the leading names for that, where it's just like, no, they can show up anywhere.
Yeah.
That's
there's
so
no
awesome.
rules.
So
Well, I just, you watched him in the Book of Boba Fett, and to me, he's different than some of the other. I mean, he's like powerful.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys are like, they're going to shoot you from a distance, or this dude goes in, he's going to manhandle you and break you
Yes.
in half. And I mean, you look at what he did when he went in there. How many of them did it take to,
right. And it
I
still
mean,
didn't work. It
yeah,
still
it's
wasn't
like-
enough.
No, he like went through a lot and was still, that's why I just was like, this dude is like really bad. And, we had talked about this in another show. Like he actually wanted to be a gladiator. I mean, you know, it's like, so I just, he's cool as heck.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, Chris Anton's such an awesome character to see because he's literally everything the Wookiees are, just cranked up to 11.
Oh yes,
right.
That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. Because, well, you know, and it's nice to see. Like, we love Chewbacca. Everybody loves Chewbacca. I don't trust a person that says they don't. He doesn't have to be your favorite, but you can't not. It's like hating a dog. Well, okay, hang on, because there are dogs I dislike, but it's usually
Trolls
the
don't
small.
count, they're rodents.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's usually the small yippy ones.
You do not like my parents'
So
Yorkies.
you know, like Wookiees are normal dogs. Ewoks are all the rest, the puntable ones.
Oh, man.
It's like, you know, King Kong is a monkey,
Yes.
but not like every other monkey. It makes sense in my brain. Just trust me.
I mean,
Like, you can look at a monkey
You're
and
not
look at
wrong.
King Kong and be like, yeah, those are both monkeys, but that one's much
It's like how
different.
Optimus Prime is a truck and also a monkey.
Truck, not monkey. No. It's
No,
like
in this
how
house we stand monkey Optimus Prime.
Megatron is a gun, but he's also a robot.
So you know, like as soft and cuddly and wonderful as Chewbacca is, and Peter kind of brings that softer character to what should be a very scary and intimidating beast. You know, it in the back of my mind, I know, and I'm sure a lot of people, it's just like, I want to see him go off one day day where he doesn't have coffee, one day where it just gets too close.
There's a comic for that.
There actually are. There's a lot of instances of that, but we've never gotten to see a Wookiee unleashed on
It's
screen.
my favorite
and so
video game.
to get Black Chrysanthemum to kind of fill that role a little bit,
Yeah.
very cool, very very cool, because they beef him up. He's played, if I'm not mistaken, by a little bit taller of a dude, but also they just pad him out.
Yeah.
He's huge.
And like you said, it's all in like the stature, it's all in the body language. Like,
yeah, I mean, even his body shape like kind of contributes to his body, like his posture. Because like if you kind of look at it at him as a Wookiee in character design, his head is much more. I think because he is a much taller human being, like his eyes are a lot kind of higher up, and he does like they kind of beefed up his chest so he doesn't really have a neck. So I mean, they just his stature is just absolutely like, even if you weren't looking at him as a Wookiee, it's just he's a massive character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's built and acted almost like a wrestler. Like
Man,
you know,
quit
like
I was just gonna say that. Quit taking what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna
He
say,
is the blue cream.
I've always just said he's a Wookiee freight train.
I mean, you look at Chewbacca. He's tall, and he's tall. He's thin. I mean, he's not huge like this guy, but this, like you said, this dude looks like a professional wrestler.
Dude was huge. Yeah, he's the cream of the crop.
He doesn't have a cushy job sitting next to a skinny man.
But I mean, even then, like if you ever look at like Chewbacca versus his father Tarful in Episode 3, Tarful is twice Chewbacca's size. It's unreal.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, we've never really gotten much of it. Like, I guess we just assume they're all big, so they're all warriors, right? And you know, no. Like they're built warriors. There's ones that clearly make this their livelihood, and then there's just the villagers. And Chewbacca seems like that. You know, I picked up the bowcaster out of need, not desire.
Yeah.
You know, he much prefers to fly. I see, and I want a young Chewie thing where he's like trying to fly and all that good stuff, and just like, no, you get to stick. You know. So anyway, Black Chrysanthemum, good pick. Another one in my almost pile.
What about you, John? What is your number 3?
What about Bradley?
Oh yeah, that's right. What's up, Brad?
Skipping over a whole Brad over here. The sauerkraut himself.
Hey, Brad. What's your number 3?
Oh God. So my number 3. I mean, that's the thing. I would have to probably say the IG units.
Ooh.
There's 3 of them. But I would say the IG units just because of their backstory and like the kind of deep dive that you kind of have to do, because the original, there's the 3 IGs is the first one of the 3 is like just flying around planning galactic domination. And he
Mhm.
sends out his 2 copies to go and do bounty hunting to raise money to pay for said conquest.
Mhm.
And that just tickles me. That's just hilarious.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's got a goal. I love
Yeah.
I love a death robot with goals for
He's
sure.
a goal-oriented babe.
Well, go ahead.
IG-88 is my number 1. Yes.
Yes.
How did we know that?
Right.
don't know.
So here's the thing. So 2 things I did for my list, just FYI, because I'm a decent human.
Wow.
I prohibited myself from picking a Fett because that would be too easy.
Whoa.
So no, Boba or Django are my number 1 or on my list even because they're just not fair.
I'm
Of
a one-note
course,
pony.
like if I could pan my camera to the shrine of Boba I have over here, like it's not fair.
Honestly, if I could pan the camera over to Starscream looking like a good boy on that shelf right
Right?
there.
So it's like, all right, no Boba Fett's. I feel like people know that's one of my favorites.
I have no such druthers.
And then I was also like, because again, we did a favorite background characters, and one of my favorite bounty hunters is also one of my favorite background characters, which is Tam Bolsa. But I already talked about him at length for that episode, so I was like, all right, no repeats. I'm not going back. But you, this is 2 lists with IG as your number
I
1.
did an entire list that was just Maul. Are you surprised?
No,
Are you at all surprised in me?
no. I love you.
IG-88 has my favorite Star Wars character.
Oh yeah.
Well, he is one of 3 of my favorite Star Wars characters. I have all of them kind of lined up in a neat row, all for number 1. But I think it's pretty obvious who they are if you've watched the show long enough.
Yeah. I mean, I love the justice they gave IG-11.
Oh, absolutely.
That's it's heartbreaking, but it was beautiful.
It's so
Yeah.
good. And just expertly played by Taika Waititi in
Mhm.
just one of his best performances. IMHO.
Love you,
Aw,
Kevin.
buddy. Love ya.
Enjoy that ring of power.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm a Terminator kid, Brad. You've been on here. We've talked about Terminator before. Like, I love murder bots. Like, I just
Yeah.
So
love
good.
unstoppable killer machines. And IG-88 at the time, like, we've gotten way closer references to Terminator in Star
Yeah.
Wars, but like at the time, IG was the Star Wars Terminator,
Mhm.
and there's just
And a drink
something
dispenser.
great about that. Yeah. And so, yeah, I like, it's tough because I love every iteration of IG we get. We get some in the Clone Wars, we get some, well, in both Clone Wars, really.
Mhm.
And, like you said,
In
IG-11.
Rebels.
Yeah, we do. We get the IG ones. What I can't remember which one they are, but it's based off
They're
the
Iggy's.
McClure
all you need to
concept
know.
art, because the concept art was way more like Will Robinson meets Terminator,
Mhm. They're still
versus
just so great looking.
yeah, vertical
Just
pipes.
thick boys.
So
Yeah.
IG's a good pick for sure.
Honestly, speaking of murder bots, 000 almost got a spot on my list as well. If we're gonna go for a murder bot list at some point.
I mean, we are going to have a favorite droids list.
Oh, well.
And if it's murder droids, have at me. But yeah, I love IG, and it's funny because he started out with such humble beginnings, just standing there.
Just
It
being
just-
there. Like, he was literally made of spare parts that they had and just tossed them together, put him on set, moved his head a little bit, moved his arm a little bit. He was a barely functioning puppet. And then they gave him the best backstory of all time.
It is good.
my
Like
opinion.
it's the story you don't see that makes
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
interesting.
I love hopeful fantasy and I love dystopian sci-fi.
Again,
That freaking book,
we can't recommend this enough.
it's the first story in the book, and it is some of the best, like, murder bot content that ends in the most, like, Benny Hill music way. It is so good. It literally ends with a hey.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
You could actually, no, better. You could end it with the Curb Your Enthusiasm movement song. Like, it is so good.
So in a similar vein, my number
Go for it.
3 is another classic along with IG, and that's Bosk.
Mhm.
I love a good big boy. Even better when they're a
Dan's gonna
good
be
big
mad.
lizard boy. And all of the lore that they've added to them, we talked about Predator recently. Like, if there's a Terminator equivalent, it's IG. If there's a Predator equivalent, it's Bosk, it's
Bosk,
Trandoshans.
Would the Geonosians be the aliens? A little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the closest I'd say.
Yeah,
It definitely felt like it in that one Clone Wars episode.
it's true.
And so, yeah, like all of the things they've added to the Trandoshans to be these like perfect hunters, it's just made them more interesting. And then giving Bosk his own characteristics. I like the legends and the canon. I like him as Uncle Bosk for Boba. I also like him as the like son of the bounty hunter guild leader and having to prove himself as the best bounty hunter because it's his lineage. Like, I love both of those things coexisting. Like, there's not a bad Bosk out there. And thanks to D. Bradley Baker, he's got a great voice. It's just tons of fun.
Although I will say, kind of goes between the hissy snake boy and just talking like a regular person.
It depends on what the scene calls for
It's
sure.
true. The people
I also
who
think it
stutter.
depends on like his emotional state.
True.
Very true.
Right. So yeah, like he was one of my favorites in Battlefront 2 for the longest. Like when it would be the like 4v4 matches and everything, I would always either be Boba, Darth Vader, or Bosk. So Bosk was an easy pick for this one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anybody else for Bosk?
Oh, not on my list, but I'll second the notion of Bosk being on it
because he's boss.
I enjoy the concept of Bosk as well.
The concept of Bosk. That's a good band name.
It's not
one crossover so far. Let's see how round 2 does it.
Yeah, 'cause I'm a one-note pony.
And watch it be IG-11.
No. Oh, it's my turn again.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Hey, guess what? It's another big hat. So, in the Clone Wars, like I said, the first time, I love bounty hunters so much, obviously. And I think that there is a bounty hunter that kind of is what it means to be a bounty hunter personified in the Star Wars universe, in my opinion. And like, I have never been hit with so much joy by a character cameo.
After death.
No. No.
Sorry.
But like, oh well, yeah, partially.
Death.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, there's back to tanks all over, Brad. Who's to say? We were sitting on the couch watching Book of Boba Fett, and when Cad Bane showed up, both of us jumped off the couch and practically started screaming because Cad Bane is the coolest character to come out of the Clone Wars.
Ooh.
It's
all subjective.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing.
I feel like I need to say that, in my opinion, there are plenty of other cool characters in the Clone Wars, but Cad Bane is a side by side with Clint Eastwood, but being actually cool and not, bigoted and whatnot.
Not being Southern.
Being Southern is not a problem.
True.
Being a cowboy is not a problem.
Very true.
But when you look down on people, that is a problem.
Well, true. Yeah.
You better be hooting, you better be hollering, but you also better be kind. All right.
Right. And maybe some tooting if you got it in you.
Just be rooting, be tooting.
Rooting and tooting.
Rooting and tooting. But yeah,
so Cad Bane.
Cad Bane is awesome. He is a cowboy bounty hunter in the best way. And I think he fits perfectly in Star Wars in general. And every time he shows up, I am just so excited in general.
Yeah. Well, Cad Bane's my number 2 as well.
What?
Yeah.
Dyad.
For a lot of the same reasons you mentioned, like, it's no secret that Clint Eastwood and cowboy aesthetic inspired
Cool Hand Luke, the sweatiest movie ever made.
Inspired Boba Fett. And whereas that was spacified, instead of a hat brim, he gets the curve of his helmet. Instead of getting poncho, he gets a kind of cape. He still has spurs somehow.
He has a poncho sometimes.
He does have a poncho sometimes. It gets around.
Only when it rains.
Exactly.
Right.
Everybody should have a poncho.
So if it was very hinted at with Boba Fett, it's just outright said with Cad Bane.
Oh man, the drawl.
Corey Burton
So good.
did amazing things because, like, it's one thing to look that cool.
Mhm.
What takes it from a background character to a character is definitely giving it a full life. And Corey Burton coming in and doing the voice, giving him an absolute, like, Man in Black, Dirty Harry kind of vibe to him. All of that, like, love all of that. And like you said, like, we have bounty hunters that have had hearts of gold, and then there's bounty hunters, and he
Yeah.
represents the kind of
He doesn't
person.
need a heart of gold.
Yeah, you get in this profession because you don't have a heart of gold.
Exactly. And then you have one of my favorite episodes, which is the episode where he rescues Zero from prison.
Mhm.
And you have the Battle of Accents, which is also just absolutely fantastic to put those characters together and just hear the conversations that they have.
Because they are both Corey Burton.
Exactly. Corey Burton doing very different voices.
Gotta love it. So yeah, I mean, evil cowboy in space. So what's not to love?
Exactly.
I think it's really interesting, talking about, because you talk about Black Chrysanthemum, he's like the gladiator professional wrestler. Then you've got Cad Bane, he's the Wild Wild West. How all of these, every bounty hunter is like a totally different type of person or whatever.
Yeah.
Type of character. Because one of my favorite movies is Tombstone.
Mhm.
And so I
Same.
can, Val Kilmer is my brain just went blank. Val Kilmer plays Doc Holliday.
Mhm.
Yes.
But you've got this Billy the Kid type bounty hunter or whatever. He's a gunfighter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Well,
Speaking of accents, one of the best Val Kilmer roles ever played.
yeah, that's
Oof.
yeah.
he was a pretty good Batman. I think we talked about that not long ago. He was
He did not offer to be anybody's Huckleberry.
he did not get enough credit for that role. We weren't ready to move on from Michael Keaton, I feel.
No.
But it's funny you mentioned that, Michael, because like sometimes I can feel like it's hard to differentiate some Sith and Jedi.
Mhm.
Because at some point they just become their organizational type. It's just like, oh, you're a Jedi, so you fit into these columns, these types. You
Mhm.
check these boxes. And there are the few that break out of those that are uniquely interesting. But yeah, bounty hunters, there's not a lot of copy paste, if any, right? Like it's a lot of all very unique and interesting characters, interesting designs, all of it. It's just have fun, make something crazy, and then people fall in love
Yeah.
with that from one scene or from one line, and all of a sudden that's their new favorite. It's really cool.
The least interesting bounty hunters are the ones who are like archetypes, who are trying to be exactly like other
It's funny you
bounty
should mention
hunters.
that. Yes.
That's exactly why I mentioned it.
So, yes, shout out to Andy in the chat,
Hi, Andy.
who also brought
Love
up. So we
you.
asked on Twitter for favorites, and Andy brought up one that I was particularly interested in because it's one I don't normally hear. So Jodo Cast, for those that don't know, is a Boba Fett impersonator.
Not like Cad Bane, or not like Cobb Vanth.
No, not
Worse.
for good, not like found this in the desert, I'm gonna use this to save my town kind of impersonator.
Timothy Oliphant, they are not.
And really, Cobb Vanth didn't pretend to be Boba Fett.
No.
He was the sheriff. Jodo, imagine Boba dropping off his laundry and finding out afterwards it got swiped. It's that comedic level of really kind of impersonating Boba Fett. And so Jodo impersonates Boba. I actually have a Jodo cast figure on my Boba Fett shelf because the armor is not a 1-to-1, but it's really darn close. And apparently that's enough to convince people in Star Wars that you are indeed Boba Fett. And so there's actually a really if you just Google Star Wars Jodo cast, some of the first pictures that probably come up are Jodo being held at gunpoint by Boba Fett after Boba Fett finds him and finds out what he's doing.
Let me close all the tabs of Glenn Danzig.
It's a great little story. One that's older from the older comics, but one that's still very fun and very cool. So Jodo cast, bounty hunter, most known for impersonating Boba Fett, but he's a lot of fun.
Literally the first thing on the image search.
Yeah.
Just a gun to his head.
Yep.
Good for
So,
him.
you know, I'd love something like that to come about. Some Boba Fett impersonator in Book of Boba Fett season 2 or something. Like, I'd love a reference like that because it's not the first and it's not the last time. I'm sure someone's going to take his name and moniker. He just wanted to be famous for a little bit. He just wanted the Boba Fett treatment.
Who doesn't?
Right?
He
The gun to
So,
your head
did a
sounds
couple
about
things
right.
wrong.
Hmm?
You did a couple things wrong.
a little too much yellow in the costume. That's all I can argue with him for. Anyway, so yeah, that's our number 2's out. So Cad Bane, cool space cowboy. So Michael, over to you on your number 2, your second favorite.
So my second favorite,
Yes.
I was wondering if you'd make the list for anybody.
yeah, and it's not because of that he became the good guy or whatever. To me, it's like I keep talking about characters that to me he's almost like a ninja type. Maybe not to anybody else, but you think about all the little gadgets and stuff that he has.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, he's got what do they call the things out of his wrist, like a whistler or something?
The whistling birds.
Whistling birds, yeah.
Whistling birds. It's like, you know, he does that and takes out multiple.
I love that. So it's funny to me that thing because they introduced that in, you know, he's got a gauntlet, he's got a very familiar looking piece on it, and it's just like, hey, this is a thing that shoots out tiny little, you know,
Missiles.
targeted missiles. And it's just like, oh, you know, me the first time I'm like, oh, that's what that thing does on Boba Fett's wrist. But no, there's an identical thing that Boba Fett has that's just a straight up missile. And it's just they look exactly the same. And I'm like, how do you guys not get this stuff confused? Like, no wonder you color coordinate so much stuff. It's just like, okay, red gauntlets are missiles, silver gauntlets are whistling birds.
At least he doesn't have to lean forward to shoot them.
That's true.
That is one of my favorite moments in Star Wars.
That is one of the coolest things because I love a tiny little anime, little independent thing called Gundam, and they have weapons like that all the time where it's just like, oh, I've got something that shoots 10 somethings that all can shoot 20 of you, and it's just like,
look at my wings,
ridiculous.
They shoot missiles.
So yeah, Din Djarin, I gotta love him. He was another one on my honorable mentions because he has a tough go, but he's a very successful bounty hunter too.
Yeah.
He's got a great ratio at this point.
Like,
I mean, who can forget the opening scene of The Mandalorian when he goes in there and just cleans house? You know, cuts one dude, the one dude gets cut in half. I mean, it's like
sets up his what you can expect from the get go, and I mean, and two, there was a lot of pressure because yeah, and another reason why. So I was like, he's a very, very good bounty hunter, but I think I like him more as he became more of a Mandalorian. And so that was one thing that disqualified him for me, not because it's a right thing or anything, but you know, like when this was announced, when the show was first announced, Jon Favreau's like, hey, before you know, after the times of Boba Fett and Jango Fett, there's the Mandalorian. And it's like, all right, that's a lot of reputation to live up to. You know, like you're naming the 2 most famous Star Wars bucket heads, and you're saying this guy is the next best.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
I remember Celebration 2019 when we were watching bootleg trailer, which someone had recorded in the room before, you know,
that
got taken down.
Taken down the same day.
Exactly. I think literally like 30 minutes after we watched it, and we were talking about the trailer. Like, how is this going to pan out?
Oddly enough, Celebration in Chicago, we wanted in that panel more than we wanted in episode 9. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning was, but it was just like
Because you're a simp for Boba Fett.
I think it was just that was so much more new, right? Like I know we would eventually see episode 9 trailers. Like The
Yeah.
Mandalorian was so new, and we didn't get in that panel, so we didn't get to see the first trailer and the first 10 minutes.
I mean, we did, but
Right, we didn't legally get to see it.
yeah, we
and
didn't play by your daddy's rules.
so we're walking the show floor, and then Twitter starts blowing up, and so then we see. And what's funny though is it's all these amazing things, all this IG,
Yeah.
and it's like that. We were lost at that point. As soon as
Immediately.
we saw IG, fingers crossed for 88, but
No.
we love 11 too.
We love 11.
Yeah,
I hold out hope for my boy to come back.
gosh, that is just special times. But yes, Din Djarin's amazing. He's pretty darn cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the natural Mando-ness in him that makes him so good at his job, but nonetheless,
Honorable.
he's a very successful one, which is a bonus points because a lot of these characters, if you were to hold up their track record, they look really cool. They're not always the best at actually doing their job. So,
Well,
I mean, he was, he was, because you look at his ship when he gets on there, how many people has he caught?
like a dozen slabs. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
dude.
Mhm.
Which also having a built-in carbon freezing thing in your ship, that is
Yeah.
dope. So
that's number 2.
that's a good number 2.
Yeah.
That's a good number 2.
Excellent number 2.
I purposely left any Mandalorians off my list just because otherwise all 3 of mine would have been Mandalorian.
You were also a simp
And I
for
mean,
Boba Fett.
I love the people. It's any people crazy enough to see a problem with Jedi reflecting their blaster fire back at them, and their answer to be, oh, well, let's use slugs because instead of reflecting, it'll shatter on them.
Exactly.
That's just beautiful to me.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely holding him out for my Mando list. Spoilers for whenever that episode happens. He's going to be on there
Have
because
fun
he's just
doing that.
he's such a great example of what Mandos I think should be mixing the cultures.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I only know of 3 Mandalorians.
No, you know more than that.
I could name at least 5 right now.
I was gonna say
Mall cops.
definitely 4, 5, 6. Many, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I only got a 26 on the Dragon Con.
That's more than most. More than most.
It was hard.
Bradley, on to you for your number 2.
I would have to say Asajj Ventress.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
Because I mean, even when she was a Sith apprentice or a Sith assassin, I mean, she was essentially used as a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And then she falls away from being a Sith and she becomes an actual bounty hunter. And I mean, then you can you follow her story and it goes into the relationship with what's the Jedi's name? Can't remember his name. Yeah. And then I mean you get the eventual her eventual death and everything. And I mean it is a very good story to follow.
Yes. Yeah, like another one where it's just like I like them more as a Force user than a bounty hunter. It was like there's a whole process in my brain with these lists, but
for me, I'm flipped over. I prefer her. I like her better as a bounty hunter and an assassin rather than a Force user.
Yeah, hands down. Number 1, cool helmet, right? Like,
very cool helmet.
I want to know like what shop they go. Like, hey, I'm looking into getting into a bounty hunting business. Where can I get my cool helmet, please?
If it was later in the year, I'd say Ezra Bridger.
Like, I'm like,
he has a lot of cool helmets.
Right. But yeah, like Boosh has a great one. Although mostly Leia uses that we know of. But like, I love cool helmets, and it seems like bounty hunters have them all. But
the best one is still Embo.
It's true.
True.
It's an excellent hat.
It's very Banish.
It is.
I'm with Andy on this. That they faked their death.
Oh,
exactly. Sorry, Quinlan.
What trouble to go through to avoid a breakup.
She ran away with one of Padme's handmaidens.
Ventress is just such a good character.
She
Like
is.
it is one of the. I mean, it is up there with Ben Solo. Not to rip off any band-aids for anybody, but like it's like this is such potential.
Mhm.
Why would you close the book? And
'Cause the script said so.
that's not good enough. But anyway, yes, either way, I love Ventress. Some of the best bounty hunter episodes in Clone Wars feature her as well. So some of the best Clone Wars episodes in
That's
general.
true. Some of the best flirting in Clone Wars.
Oh my gosh, so much flirting
Between her and Kenobi.
Oh my
Yes, it's
gosh,
good
it's
flirting.
all over the place. So yeah. Anyway, Oop.
Yeah, I've already
I mean,
gone.
right, but I already gave my number 2 because you took my number 2.
Yeah.
So it's now your number 3.
What?
Yeah.
No, it's now. I thought it was
No,
now
no,
number one.
number 1.
I've already given my number 1 because it was IG88.
That's true.
I'll
Yeah.
answer Andy's question.
Wait,
though.
hang on.
Yeah.
Then you're missing one.
No.
Yes.
No, because she
No.
started with her number 3.
I
What
started
was your
with
number 3?
3, which was Embo,
Okay.
and then I
Your
had
number 1.
G88,
Okay.
and then I did Cad Bane. That's
Oh.
3. Can you count?
Well, no, apparently.
Not if he's got his shoes on.
Nope. I
No.
apparently can't count.
That's fine, baby.
Um,
Can I get a you fool, please?
How about an honorable?
fool!
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
it's so good.
Um,
We haven't used those clips in.
I was like,
Numbers
that
are
surprised the hell out of me. I've never seen that before.
Would
Numbers
you
are
like to
hard.
see more?
Oh my gosh.
You say Bombast!
So good. I love Scotty so much.
Oh my gosh, that was my favorite running joke from Podathon.
Oh, man.
Right.
I have
Oh.
terrible.
I looked at
terrible
Yeah.
that.
Andy.
Yeah.
No one will know that J-Dub can't count.
I'll know.
All right, so yes. So let's rewind back to Andy's other question. In place of your number 1.
Yeah.
So if you could pick a bounty hunter to come after you, right? You've done some illegal things, some questionable deeds, and you, for whatever reason, get to choose who comes after you. Who are you picking? Do you want to die by your favorite's hands, or do you want to pick one that you know you can get away from?
I want to run away giggling from Massage Ventress. Just like, catch me.
You're never gonna catch
You're
me.
never going to get me. I'm on
catch me.
Coruscant. Immediate lightsabers through the chest. That's how I want to go out.
I mean, what a way to
Just-
go.
What a way to go. Staring into the beautiful eyes of Massage Ventress.
I'd pick a Greedo, because there ain't no way he's catching me.
Holly Frey is going to have your tuchus.
Wow.
Hey, look, listen, look, he gets to live. He just spends his whole life chasing after me.
He just has a gaping hole in his
And
chest.
it turns out I'm just down on the other side of the bar.
Talking to Han Solo.
Right.
Man.
What about you guys?
That's
If you could pick your bounty hunter to hunt your bounty, who would it be?
The Mandalorian. He shows he has a heart. Maybe I can.
You
That's
got a
true.
chance. You can reason with him.
You could at least you
I
get
like
to pick
it.
how you go in.
That's true.
Exactly. I would like to go in warm,
Does,
please.
does warm mean a nice hug? Because that'd be nice right now.
Well insulated. See, it's still a funny
You
joke.
gave me a choice, Andy, and I picked Greedo. Deal with it.
Hey, I want to tell my joke again.
Good
'cause
evening,
Andy's
Brennan.
Here now.
Okay,
Oh God.
do it for Andy. Do it for Andy and Brennan. Podathon
It's
giveaway
a bad
winner.
joke.
Brennan.
It's a bad
It
joke.
is, but you want to do it, so do it.
You're committed.
Exactly.
You know, Andy and Brennan. Beskar is the best material for a lunchbox. You put those headphones back on right now, Bradley. Because if you want to bring in your lunch, you can either bring it in warm, or you could bring it in cold.
This is bad comedy.
Hey,
Nice.
I'm gonna lean over here so I can give you.
I feel like at the beginning of that he was just like, okay, that's this button. Wait for it.
I was hovering so eagerly.
Can you give me a clip
To
to palate cleanse, please?
a palate cleansing clip.
Don't do that again.
See, it's funny because it's a multi-level joke. You see,
Exactly.
it's an insulation joke as well as a Mandalorian reference.
All right, let's try and pull it together for our number ones
Kevin
here.
If you want to turn the channel, go ahead, fool. Turn the channel. If you want to learn something about God, shut your mouth and listen to me for a minute.
All right.
It's such a good clip.
So everybody shut up and listen. Michael, what's your number one?
This didn't even cross my mind until I sat here and looked at my list.
Ooh.
That all three of mine came from like the same show. Mine, because I didn't want to do the obvious Boba Fett So my number one, it's Ming Na Wen. How can you not like her?
Yes.
My number one is Fennec Shand.
Yes.
And I guess she's like the sniper.
Yeah, I mean
when we
everything
talk about
you
different,
Yeah, you talk about Mando being a ninja, man. She from the
Oh, yeah, she's
parkour,
bad to the bone.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, Imperials just have a different way of getting their hands dirty.
It's true.
Oh, can I change my answer? She's the one I want coming after me.
Because she will finish the job.
It'll be quick. It'll be quick.
Oh my gosh.
The only person who can crush Inathoran's 4 throats at once. Is that still canon? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure they got big necks. They got to have 4 throats. Which get you in some trouble. Get you in some trouble on a Friday night. Like what's not to love about Fennec Shand? Like one of my favorite things is be it Mando, be it Boba Fett. Like I feel like anybody, she can take them down.
Oh yeah.
Like if you need someone to bring in a bounty hunter, I feel like she's the one because she can whoop everybody's butt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think there's anybody I wouldn't expect her to be able to take on. She's just lethal and looks good while doing it.
Just
I mean,
ignore the time that she got shot in the stomach, and she's got a perfect record.
If anything, she's better for it.
It's true.
Andy doing their homework, bringing in a whole list.
Dang.
So I got to respect this list. Number one, because you didn't split up
I know some of these
Zuckuss and
words.
Forlum. All right, they're bosom buddies and they are inseparable. Imbo made the list. You can credit Boop for also representing the Imbo crew. Thanks for referencing Zam Wessel, the plucky number 2 to Jango Fett, who also tried to kill Jango Fett.
Heck yeah, man.
And I really have to respect your number 1 because another one of my almosts was actually Sugi, who is the aunt of Jas Murray.
Really? Fancy.
Yep. It was one of those things where Sugi's fate was ambiguous after the Clone Wars, and so they introduced another character that was her niece to kind of continue that legacy. But because the Clone Wars got canceled, there's no knowing what was intended for Sugi, which is good because that means she can come back.
She's still out there.
And if you don't know who I'm talking about, watch Clone Wars because Sugi's really, really a lot of fun.
Forlom and Zuckuss are married, yes.
Forlom and Zuckuss are married. And you know what? There's many reasons I've got to poo on Lego Star Wars right now. That game was ridiculous, but they also pitted Forlom and Zuckuss against each other. And I will not have this divorcing of 2 of the goodest bug boys going on. Like,
no.
Calm down, Lego.
The best
like,
babes.
respect the lore.
He just wants to be a wizard. That's it.
Exactly. She's Zabrak. She gives me Michelle Rodriguez vibes to a T. If there was a live action counterpart to Sugi in any of the shows, it would be Michelle Rodriguez for sure, because she'd absolutely bring that to life.
Remind me who that is.
The BA woman from Resident Evil, Dom's girlfriend from Fast and Furious.
See, this is the same conversation we had with Jennifer Coolidge the other night.
Like the when you think of like, oh, you're pretty, but you could also choke me, and I would thank you for it. This is
Jennifer Coolidge.
No. Oh my gosh!
Smothered.
Get out of here! I'd remove you from the show, but I'd remove myself too.
All right.
Can't ask
Wait
me
a
that
minute.
kind of a question. I have a list.
Anyway, Bradley, save this. Help us out here. What's your number one?
It honestly is kind of split. And it depends. Would you consider Beckett a bounty hunter?
Would you just?
Yeah.
I mean,
scoundrel.
I gotta respect the guy who taught Han Solo.
For sure. I mean, I think they even outright claim he's one, if I'm not mistaken. He's definitely in the company of them for sure.
Oh
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, if it wasn't him, I'd have to pick Aura Singh.
Aura Singh's another good one. He killed Aura Singh.
Yeah, I know.
There's some irony there.
That's kind of why it kind of led one from the other. Because I mean, Aura Singh I would put on there because she's one of the few bounty hunters that you don't actually see die. You just know she dies.
Right.
But and she's up there with Cad Bane as just she has the heart and the mindset for just being a bounty hunter.
Yeah, for sure. Which made them such a good pairing. It was a great way to bring in a kind of familiar face with a new face when they were kind of saying, all right, these are the bounty hunters. These are the faces you're going to get familiar with for the course of this show. And so because they're both ruthless, they're both good at what they do. And
they raised Boba.
The nostalgia factor for me of Aura from the Phantom Menace, when she was an ex-Jedi turned bounty hunter, like, oh my gosh, such a cool Legends backstory that I hope has some validity. It's still canon to me, dang it. So
Took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out that she was in the Phantom Menace.
Beckett, yes, Andy has a fantastic Beckett cosplay, by the way.
Yes, they do.
They look amazing. And so, yeah, scoundrel for sure, pirate maybe. You know what? Technically, going after the coaxium is a bounty.
I'd say so. It's a quarry.
Yeah.
He was hired to do a job of questionable intent.
Exactly. We will allow it.
They should have put that coaxium in a Beskar lunchbox.
Oh my
Would have been really
it's
well.
Not going to get funny. It's never going to be funny.
I think it's funny.
And that's fine. I love you. I love you. Good for you. I do. Just don't laugh at your jokes. So now my number one, which I didn't expect anybody to get. I would have been blown away and surprised, honestly.
It's not Boba Fett?
No. So again, this is a top 3 other than Boba Fett. Boba Fett's going to be number 1 because he's one of my favorite, if not my favorite. Like I always talk about it's more complex than they're just my favorite character. It depends on what you mean. Like overall, I love this character so much. This
You're dancing around this
embodies my favorite things of Star Wars, or favorite because they mean a lot to me, because that's 2 different answers. So top 3 other than Boba Fett, leading to my number 1 being Dirge.
Really? Oh.
Yes. Commence the lookups for anybody that doesn't know who Dirge is.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen a movie called The Thing?
Have you ever seen a movie called Akira?
Have you ever seen a movie called Videodrome?
So this is a nostalgic answer for sure for me, because I'm thinking of back to 2003, where like I love Star Wars. I'm fully integrated and love this stuff. And now the prequels are coming out, and episode 2 just happened. Now we're full on in the Clone Wars, and they introduced this lore. George Lucas is like, because they have the droid army, Count Dooku's going to need generals. He's going to need leaders for this droid army, because they can't necessarily lead themselves. They're not smart enough. So he kind of just puts that idea out there. And Genndy Tartakovsky, making the Clone Wars animated show, runs with that. It's like, all right, well, what about a bounty hunter leading an army of droids?
If I could get to it right now, I would go get him off the shelf because he's that cool looking.
And so we get Dirge. He gets a lot of life in comics and books and whatnot. But watch 2003 Clone Wars, the first chapters. Watch the whole thing, but
please.
He really shows up in the first like 6 chapters, I believe.
With a
Um,
climactic ending?
yeah,
Question mark.
a really, really cool design. We talk
Mhm.
about cool helmets. He gives off Shredder vibes.
He is a suit of armor.
Yeah, he's basically just tentacles in a suit of armor. If you've ever
Yes.
seen like the hunters from
I'm about to say
Halo,
Hunters from Halo, yeah.
exactly like that, where it's just like it seems like this, person, but it's just a mass of tentacles and worms or whatever.
That's not the kitty cat, is it?
Yeah, it is the kitty cat.
It is the kitty cat.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a dated reference for those of you who are not terminally online. Does it dance, dance, dance?
It does dance, dance, dance.
Yes, it does.
And so yeah, so because of that, he doesn't die by typical means. So he not only gets all the cool gadget, he gets all the cool action, but he also can't die. Like it's just so cool. And he was the first bounty hunter since Boba Fett, I think, to really hit me like, oh my gosh, they are so cool. They're like, there's nothing really there. There's no character given. There's no exploration. There's no motivations. He's just the bad guy for the episode. And that was enough. I'm just like, this is awesome. This is cool.
I mean, like, something that the 2003 Clone Wars series did so well is it gives you not technically horror, but horrifying content wrapped up in a kid's show. Because like the concept of Dirge is terrifying. He is almost like Jason to a point where he just keeps standing up. Like you cannot knock him down for very long because he can regenerate his limbs. Can Jason do that? I don't know. Maybe. Tune in next month. We'll see.
Well,
but yeah.
It's the perfect kind of bounty hunter you want going after. Like, no matter what happens, he's going to keep going. So yeah, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there too, because he has a Mandalorian symbol on his chest. But he's not Mandalorian. It's just one of those that he considers himself like the ultimate hunter, and he just loves because he's lived thousands of years. His species is, I believe, Gendai, and they just live forever. They just do. And so along that, he dedicated himself to just being the best at what he does. And I got to respect that, wakes up every day. It's like, you know what? I'm going to get better at killing.
The joust scene is so cool.
Yeah. Like, I mean, your introduction is riding out. We're talking about IG. He rides out with IG 86 Lancer droids.
Yes. It's called the Lance.
What's cooler than that? Like, my goodness, jousting in Star Wars, So, yeah, I love him. He's just so cool, and I love Boba Fett. I started with he's really cool, and the character has gotten added. I'm perfectly fine with Dirge not having character. I don't care because he's just cool.
He doesn't need character,
and that's enough for me.
Tentacles and a suit of armor.
Characters like that are their own character.
Yeah,
absolutely. You never anytime you have a character whose job it is to kill people, and the big surprise behind them is, oh, by the way, this thing is near impossible to kill. You can put it down, but it's just going to stand up and keep walking after you. Like that's just a concept of its own. You don't need a backstory for something like that.
Yeah,
he is the stuff.
The stuff.
You hated that movie so much.
I did. It was so bad.
That's not the point though. Is that it is a bad movie, but it's entertaining bad.
I will give it that at least.
So tell me you didn't want to try this stuff.
So there you go. Now you can watch the stuff. You can watch 2003 Clone Wars. You can rewatch Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, and Empire Strikes Back.
You ever seen a movie called Microwave Massacre?
All that good stuff. All the best appearances of some of the best bounty hunters. And so look forward to, after this goes out, hearing from folks what your favorites are. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for that. Love to hear your favorites and why, because that's always interesting. That's why we do this. It's not a ranking necessarily. It's just
ranking is for chodes.
Here's what we like and why. If it could be more than 3, it would, but it's hard enough wrangling in this ship as
it's hard enough counting to 3 apparently.
Okay. It's not like it's not just on the internet forever. I don't need you to remind me. But nonetheless, appreciate you guys coming on, giving your time, your thoughts, just hanging out. It's always fun.
I mean,
Yeah.
you keep me in the cage in the back. Might as well bring me out every now and then. Let me stretch my legs.
Exactly.
We give you a loofah to scrub down with and a Kev to help you scrub down.
Exactly. You got to watch that man work out all the time. It's, what you don't even need TV for that.
Numbers are hard.
Numbers are very hard.
Words are hard.
So I guess there's not much else to do than to sign off, but also tease a little bit of what's to come next week. Makes everybody jealous,
Tease a little
and
bit.
hopefully entice you enough to come back next week. So strap yourselves in for a promo for next week.
He'll be back.
Teleport to us 5 overbearing and over-emotional humans.
No! Not that! Not teenagers! What's happening? It's too weird.
Welcome, humans. I am Zordon, and this planet is under attack. I have brought you here to save it. Behold, the keys to your power. Those are your power morphers. Jason, bold and powerful. You shall command the Tyrannosaurus dinosaur. Zachary, you are clever and brave. You shall command the Mastodon dinosaur. Kimberly, graceful and smart. The pterodactyl dinosaur shall be yours. Billy, patient and wise. You shall command the powerful Triceratops dinosaur. Trini, fearless and agile. The saber-toothed tiger dinosaur will be under your command. When you need help, you need only to turn to the power of the dinosaurs, which will come together to form the mighty Megazord.
There you go.
guys missed the gremlin version of that
Good
song
Lord.
that was being sung just off mic.
Even the guitar parts. Yes.
If y'all don't bring up Ivan Ooze in that episode,
oh,
I will
baby.
hurt people.
He is going to be one of the main talking
He's going to be a
points.
centerpiece. Yes, so the original Power Rangers is celebrating an anniversary soon. It's been around a very long
Yes.
I'm
time.
about to say, what
kinda made it on by
anniversary? Don't
visibility.
make me feel old, please.
And not only are we going to talk about that, this promo almost was just a montage through the years of
Yeah.
all the various morphing times.
It's morphin' time.
It quickly became
Oh,
4.5
God.
minutes long. So this is what you get instead. Just 2 minutes of that epic guitar riffage.
was-
God, I love Power Rangers.
It's so good. It slaps.
It's so good. And so we're going to talk about that and what it means to us in our childhood and our nowhood as well. Because
Yes.
it's still pretty dang rad.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Nothing compares to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers
Don't you
movie.
miss when all media was just a square?
I miss it.
Mhm.
Man,
Oh, so
the
yeah.
aspect ratios ruin our kids.
You'll have to tune in next week to check out that lovely and insane conversation. We will
Mhm.
definitely be making lots of guitar noises with our mouths. But yeah, you'll have to be here for it. So
Exactly.
yeah, epic intro, man. It's just so great. Only surpassed by the intro for Zeo, where they literally just like better than before. Like it's just they say it right out. They're like, we're better, we're badder, we're more guitarer. It's amazing. So yeah.
Don't
Alright.
count out Beetleborgs.
Oh man, Big Bird. Yes. See,
Dude,
all of
gargoyles,
this is my
Yeah.
childhood.
Dragonflies.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, we're gonna have fun with
The
that. But
90s made you guys metalheads.
as far as this, you know what, you're not wrong. But as far
No.
as this week goes, Mike, Brad, thank you guys so much for joining us, for having fun with us and chatting about bounty hunters and all that good stuff. We've linked to your Twitters and all that good stuff in the description below. But of course, if you like Disney stuff, Michael is the Disney dog. You can check out Soren with the Disney dog, his podcast that he does with his wife, and they enjoy
A
Disney
podcast
stuff.
that smells good, like Disney itself,
like Soren.
like Soren.
Look,
Fresh cut grass, orange groves.
they talk about all the other smells of Disney all the time, but Soren,
I don't know, man. That Pirates of the Caribbean water.
if they could put that in a candle, I'd be a
Oh,
happy
man,
boy.
yeah.
I
Oh.
snarf every time we go into
Oh,
the Pirates of the
gosh.
Caribbean because I'm just like,
I don't.
See,
I need
I
to get
think
it
they
in.
do have a candle out there that one of the candle companies, is it Lucky? What, because they have like pirate water.
Yes, we had the pirate water for a little while.
We did.
Yeah,
It
I've
didn't
had
smell
that
right.
pirate water in my tart burner at work.
Oh yeah. See that one? Yeah, Soren's hard because it rolls through so many.
Yeah.
You smell the ocean, you smell the grass, you
The
smell all
orange
that.
grove part, though.
Oh, so good.
I don't know if I like soaring over. I feel like I like soaring around the world more than I like soaring over California.
Very
I mean,
fair.
yeah.
I mean, because you get the smell of the. I know it's probably crazy, but when the elephant throws the dirt up in the air, you get that.
Yes, that is a
Yeah.
good smell.
I mean,
man.
it's that or California. So I mean, yeah, easy pick.
me and Mike would get along. I grew up in Long Beach, California, 20 minutes away from Disneyland.
There you go.
And God, if I didn't go at least once a month growing up.
Man,
Dude, you are so lucky.
lucky
yeah.
boy. I would take that because about once a month, I'm just like,
I
I
wanna
need
go to
something.
Disney.
I need
Especially
something.
now, watching the videos of the Oogie Boogie Bash,
Mm.
and I'm just like, I want to be where that is.
I want to be where the Disney is.
Ah,
I don't know,
And
I've been asked about, wouldn't you get bored going? No. I
No.
wouldn't.
No.
no.
I need one of these jobs where they pay me to go. And
Yeah.
right,
I
bro.
was like, by the time I was 6, I knew that park like better than any map you could ever give me.
You think that I don't skip to the Haunted Mansion
right,
every single time?
every time.
I need to go
Mhm.
see my wife with an axe.
Well, heck, I mean, Star Tours. I do it 5 times every time.
It's
Like,
true, and I can do
my
it once a
gosh.
trip.
I
because
love
get
it so much.
dizzy.
That's my Pirates of the Caribbean.
I also love the Force Losers, of which
Oh, yeah. We're
Brad
back on
is
topic.
a half of. The
Yes.
lovely half.
Gruesome
One with the better
twosome.
butt.
Yeah. When is y'all's new episode coming out? I know one's coming in the can.
Yes, we touched on the Rings of Power so far because Kevin's a
Nerd.
Tolkien-holic,
Yeah.
and he was raring to talk about what he could. So we did like a kind of like a first half of the series touch up of what we thought of it so far. He said a bunch of things that I have no idea what he was referencing.
I know some of these words.
Hey, so basically, our listeners should check out that episode because that's going to be a promo for what our episodes in December are going to be like when we talk about this stuff. And I just glaze over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, I love the movies.
I'll be talking about the cast
I
commentary.
can't talk about. Not that I can't like. It's not to me what Star Wars is to me. Like, some people it's their Star Wars or they love it as much. Whatever. Like I don't go as deep as I do with Star Wars. So it's like I don't know everybody's names. I don't know all the history. I don't know all that stuff. I know that Samwise is the GOAT.
Yes.
And that Christopher Lee is amazing.
Yes, he is. That's all you need to know. He
There
was
you
in a
go.
metal
So
band.
And I hate that, but what is the name of that podcast? If you're talking about Lord of the Rings or any of that, I'm totally.
The
So what's the name of his?
The Force Losers.
the
Force
Force
Losers. Hey,
Losers.
I
The
like that.
Force Losers. And it's a good episode once it comes out because at the end I get another moment like what I gave Kevin when he found out that I hadn't watched Terminator before. Just another.
What?
I've since rectified it.
Yes,
but
you have.
Yes, I've since rectified it, but for a long time I hadn't watched Terminator 1 or 2.
Yes.
And Kevin was absolutely furious, and it was
Little baby.
amazing.
We did a whole episode about it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
So there you go. Check out all that goodness. And just a reminder as well, there are fun links in the description and also important ones. Please check out the fundraisers linked below and in our link tree. Again, whatever you can give, and if you feel like, I don't get paid till next week, whatever, that's reality. I get that.
Yeah.
Most of these efforts are long term.
Yeah.
Bills from the hospital never go away. Relief work from hurricanes and floods can take months or years for some people. So
Mhm.
don't feel like you're too late. Don't feel like you can't do enough. Do anything you can. If it's $5, $50, whatever.
Yeah. Or even
Um,
just sharing the link.
yeah, absolutely. They're out there. And so please check those things out. If the things we love have taught us anything, it's to be good people. So let's flex that and put that to practice a little bit. But yeah, so other than that, you'll have to come back around next week. We're talking about Power Rangers. It's going to be a great time. And yeah, till then, stay scruffy.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.